Welcome to the Sens Spotlight podcast, brought to you by the Sick Podcast Network. Before we get started, bet the beauties with Betway and scan the QR code on the screen or click on the link in the details section to create an account and download the app. Must be 19 plus. Please play responsibly. Betway is an official sponsor of your Ottawa Senators. Also, don't forget to hit like and subscribe. That really helps out the show. And hit the hype button on YouTube. As well, we're giving away a Brady Tkachuk jersey, so follow Sick Pod Sens on Twitter. Same goes with Betway Canada, and repost it and hit comment 6. So we have another Brady Tkachuk giveaway, and it seems like a perfect timing as he's going to be returning tomorrow in St. Louis. So we got that. The contest runs until December 2nd. So hit it, Shane.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to the Sick Podcast. Send Spotlight.
Here's Alfredson bursts the speed, gets a shot away, score! Daniel Alfredson ends the game in overtime and sends the Ottawa Senators to the Stanley Cup Final for the first time in franchise history.
The sickest Ottawa Senators podcast. It's gonna be sick.
And we are joined once again by Pierre McGuire, who has been up all night, but he's excited to talk about the Sens from Ireland. Just what were your thoughts on the big win in Vegas? First time since 2018 for the Senator squad.
You know, I looked at that this morning. I was like, when's the last time they won? And then I saw it was 2018, Alex. I was like, wow, that's a pretty good accomplishment. Every game's a one-goal game for Ottawa right now, but that's teaching good habits, not bad habits. Sometimes you got to have your goalie stand strong, obviously. Linus Ullmark was really, really good, I thought, the last two periods of the game in particular. But you got to give credit where credit's due. I thought Jake was really solid last night. Timmy, again, just continues to evolve. Maybe the most underrated play Timmy made was on the Sanderson goal when Brandon Saad's going to clear the puck. And Timmy, I don't know how he did that because Saad got pretty good wood on it, knocked it out of the air, and eventually it goes on to Jake's stick, and he scores a goal, a slapper through a screen. I think Batherson was providing a little bit of traffic, but more so I thought it was the Vegas defenders that were in the way. But Timmy was so good again. Timmy's been really good.
He's been so good, and how excited are you to see him and Tkachuk on Friday night?
Really excited. No, I'm really excited because, one, obviously I know both players pretty well. Number two, I know how hard Timmy's worked to get to where he is right now, and I really respect the effort level he's put in both on and off the ice. And I think a lot of mental coaching, too, to be totally fair. And Brady, I'm sure, will just be salivating at the opportunity to not only come back and be with his teammates, but also to do it in St. Louis, where he's from, I think is a pretty special thing.
It's pretty remarkable where this team's at right now. They're the best team in Canada as of today. They're second in the Atlantic, and they've missed their most important player in many respects, in Brady Tkachuk.
Mm-hmm.
And they're 3-1 in this road trip. Like, heading into this 7-game road trip, I was like, if they go 3-1, that's great. That's awesome. Mm-hmm. And maybe they lose the last 3, and that's puts a little bit of a salt in the wound, but otherwise, they've done everything you'd ask for on this road trip, even despite the loss in LA.
Played tight games. That LA game could have gone either way. I like the way they handled their situation in Anaheim. I love the way they handled their situation in San Jose. The Shark Tank's got some bite to it again, which it didn't have for a lot of years. In LA, the game probably could have gone either way. I didn't like the officiating. I'm not going to blame the official. I didn't like the officiating in that game. That's the way it goes. Last night, I thought they did what they had to do, and then, sometimes you need your goalie, and they got Linus Ullmark to stand and deliver on a really good game for them. I know we've talked about it since the start of the trip. Right after the first game, I know I said to you, not enough ice time for Halliday, not enough ice time for Hudson, not enough ice time for Cousins. I think we're starting to see kind of where that's kicking in, and I was interested to hear Coach Green say, I got to do a better job getting my fourth line guys some more ice time. He knows exactly what you and I have been talking about since that right after the first game of the road trip.
Yeah, no, and we've talked about this before, but with Tkachuk back, you probably put Eller back on the fourth line. It's a bit more insulated, but it's going to be interesting to see if he starts playing more of his fourth line. I actually thought the fourth line was okay last night. I thought feel like Stephen Halliday's had a couple big good games, but he's just, you can tell the coach does not trust him or Hodgson at this point.
No.
I think some of that is just because of inexperience and not knowing these players as much. I think some of that's also to the fact that they're fourth line guys, and he just trusts the rest of his teammate or of his team. Maybe just going back to Ullmark a bit, like this felt like to me the first game all season where Ullmark stole a game. He's had good stretches where he's played well and done the job, but this felt like, okay, this is the guy we were paying $8 million is going to be that $8 million goalie and come in, and he was unbelievable in that second half of the game.
How about the reaction after he makes a shootout stop on Mitchell Marner? He's not really that demonstrative a guy. I mean, I've been watching him play a long time. That's about as demonstrative as you're going to see him. That was like the weight coming off his shoulders. I thought that was really good. I thought it was really positive for him and for the team. But I love what you just said, Alex. It's true. The truth is that you need the goalie. The goalie's a high-paid player. There's a reason why he's a high-paid player, because they trust him and they expect him to deliver. He's delivered more than what a lot of us think, but last night I thought was one of his better opportunities to deliver, and he did it in a really tough situation.
Just even like that save on the breakaway down the stretch with minutes left, the puck's like trickling over. He's able to stop it. Then he does a very similar thing in the shootout against, I think it was Eichel both times, if I'm not mistaken. I'd have to go back. But I mean, you look at his stats, he has an 880, but in the last 5 to 10 games, he's been over 900 save percentage in those games. And if you look at like the game logs, it's like 910, 920, 905, like just good goaltending. Last night, he might have only like a 914, but that was like, his goal save above expected was 1 goal. So basically, the analytics tell you that if it wasn't for Ullmark, they would have not even got a point last night, right?
Right.
So he was really, really good. And that's another promising sign where it felt like at the beginning of the season, I don't know if you feel the same way, Pierre, defensively they were having lapses and the goaltenders weren't bailing them out.
Yes.
Now they're playing better defensively, maybe a bit tired last night, and they're also getting the saves, and that's why they're starting to rack up a lot of points.
Also, I know that Vegas went 1 for 3 on the power play last night, but he's helped the penalty kill a lot. The goaltending has helped whether it's Levi or whether it's him. They're helping the penalty kill a lot. It does make a difference. To your point, I'm kind of excited to see when this team's all back together. When Tommy's back in the lineup, when Ridley is back in the lineup, and when Brady's back in the lineup. Because when all three are back in the lineup, we've talked about slotting on the show a lot, because I'm a big believer, and I think having coached some teams that have had some success, slotting is really an important part of this whole thing when you're coaching. You got to slot guys properly, make guys have a better opportunity to be the best they can be. Slotting helps do that. When Brady's back and when Ridley's back and when Tommy's back, the slotting is going to be really good for this coach, and it's going to be fun to watch. I believe that.
Let's not jump the gun too much to Friday, but I think we should, because the captain's back. He announced on his podcast. Where does he play and with whom, and what's the domino effect of that?
Well, I think he plays with Stutz and Batherson. I don't know why you'd even waste time. I mean, you don't have to pretend there. Then I would not break up Amadio, Pinto, and Giroux. I would not do that. So David Perron, where does he go? He probably goes with Cousins and Zetterlund. Then you move Eller into the middle, and is Ridley going to be back or not? I don't know that. You would know better than I. I have no idea what's going on.
I don't think he's close, but who knows?
And then I don't know, and I don't know, quite frankly, where Tommy is in this whole thing. Hopefully he's back for the Montreal game. I would say that's probably the best case scenario. But you guys would know that better than me, Alex.
Yeah, I on Greg and Shabbat, especially Shabbat, I think he re-injured. This is not reporting, but my sense is that he re-injured what ailed him for a couple games beforehand. Yep. And I don't know if I don't think it's months, but I don't think he's playing in the next few games. If I just had to guess, who knows? Yeah. Hockey players do miraculous things when it comes to injuries. So I don't want to, say something and then he comes back Tuesday as if I don't have any insight, but I'd be surprised if he's back soon.
I think it's really important too for people to realize, like, we're not even at the halfway point of the season yet. And if you have aspirations of really truly winning, it's okay to be missing some star players from time to time because you're getting other guys reps. So Manton Paulo in particular, he's getting reps. Cleven's getting reps. Spence is getting reps. I think at some point here, and I think the coaching staff would agree, Jensen's going to need a bit of a break. He is. He's going to need a bit of a break. The one thing, if there's one corrective criticism, and I'm sure the video guys are working on it right now for Ottawa, the stretch pass is a problem. Them defending against the stretch is a problem. Now, I know Marner made an unbelievable play, on the one goal where Howden gets it, but that's a defendable play, if you know what I mean. It's about body position, it's about stick position. So they're going to have to figure out the stretch defense. And then again, you can look at all the other stretch passes that Vegas tried to do. That's how they speed up the game with their stretch pass game. They're going to have to figure that out, especially in the period of the long change. Ottawa's going. That's one corrective criticism I have on the team right now.
And the last couple games, when have they been getting burned? A lot of the times it's in transition. LA, the first goal in transition, Jensen loses the guy. Against Anaheim, Cousins loses a couple guys in transition, leads to a 2-on-1, etc. Against San Jose, 2 as well in transition. They got beat. Like, they're not getting beat and just cycling and losing guys in front or giving lanes to defensemen from the slot, after sustained ozone pressure. It's in transition, and that's where teams beat you typically. Like, look at the Tim Stützle goal to Drake Batherson, right? But at the same time, I think you're hitting on something really smart there, as usual, Pierre. Just that if they can clean up their defensive structure in terms of in transition, I think their defense can become even better in terms of thwarting opponents.
Yeah, no, we're on the same page. And Travis will be able to figure that out. He will be. Like, Nolan Baumgartner knows how to play defense. The one thing I always admired about Nolan as a player, he had really good feet and he had a really good understanding of when and how to close the gap. You can teach that, and I think he eventually will get all these guys. Like, who does it better than anybody on Ottawa's Jake? Jake Sanderson does it better than anybody. He's just so darn good at it. It's scary. Like, again, I'm not a homer because I work for Pittsburgh, I work for Montreal, I do work in Ottawa, I do work in Toronto, I work for a lot of different teams. That's just what I like to do. I like to stay busy. I like to watch tons of games, and it really helps me understand the sport on a day-to-day basis. But I'm telling you right now, outside of Cale Makar, and I mean no disrespect to any of the great other defensemen that are in the league right now, and there's so many good ones. Really, there are. I don't know. I don't see anybody better two-way than Jake. Cale Makar and Jake are the two best defensemen in the league right now. I mean that.
I completely agree. I think Jake Sanderson is playing as the second best defenseman in the world right now, outside of Cale Makar. I was looking at the top scoring defenseman, and it's Hudson, it's Bouchard, it's Werenski, it's like all these great defensemen, and I'm like, Sanderson's 11th, and I said, okay, he might not have the upward skill offensive power of a Lane Hudson or whoever, but just as an overall player, there's no one else outside of Makar that I feel has an impact on both, like, just the whole game more than Jake Sanderson outside of Cale Makar.
I couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more.
And that first period was he played amazing last night. Just a one-man exit. It felt like in the third period is like, okay, they'll just put Sanderson on. They'll survive the 50 seconds, and then the really kind of the pressure point is whoever comes on next for the Senators, right? And he's just so good defensively, especially against speed, skill. Like, he wasn't giving Marner much at all. Just so good.
I'm kind of psyched to watch the Sunday matchup because I know they don't play against each other, but Miro Heiskanen is a really good player too for Dallas. I like watching these from time to time just to see, okay, here's what Miro's doing to help his team. Here's what Jake's doing to help his team. Here's what Cale's doing to help his team. Here's what Adam Fox is doing to help his team. Like, I like doing that when I'm watching teams with comparable players. But I'm not changing my opinion on Jake. Jake reminds me so much of a combination of Leach and Niedermayer. Blows me away. And there are a lot of pundits out there, I can tell you, they were not in the rinks watching those two players when I was. I can tell you right now. They can write all they want. I can tell you, I didn't see any of it at Avon Old Farms when he played with Richie Brascia. I never saw it. We were talking about Brian Leach. And I remember staying at the Dome Motor Lodge in Kamloops many nights to watch Scotty Niedermayer and Daryl Sador. And I can just tell you, this guy, Sanderson, is so similar to a combination of those two players, and those are two unbelievable defensemen.
As a former coach, like, we're not close to the playoffs, but I think for this team, we need to think about what they can potentially be as a playoff team. You look at the East, name a defenseman that's better than Jake Sanderson.
Well, offensively, the one guy that I'd say is Lane Hudson in Montreal.
Sure.
Offensively, Lane and might have a little bit more pop in his offensive game. He doesn't shoot the puck as well as Jake. He doesn't, but he moves the puck. I'm talking about transporting and passing as well as Jake does. He's not as big as Jake, so he's not going to defend as hard, but he's a pretty gutsy kid. I give that guy a lot of credit. But I have a hard time in the East. I mean, you look at what Florida's got right now. You look at if you were to say to me, okay, here's the deal, Alex. You can have Gustav Forsling or you could have Jake Sanderson. I know who I would take. Yes, I would. I would take, and that's not a knock on Gustav.
No, Forsling's amazing.
He's a fantastic, but I'm just using that as a comparable. If you were to say to me, who would you rather have at this point in his career, Victor Hedman when he's healthy or Jake? I would prefer to have Jake at this point in their careers. Right now, like very real timeline right now. You go around the East and look at all the top defense, like Werenski, good one by you. Huge Zach fan, watched him a ton of University.
Great player. Phenomenal
player. Last year, people got an idea of how good he is playing, obviously, in the Friendship Four Nations. I would prefer to have Jake. Werenski shoots the puck harder than Jake. He does. He can absolutely wire it. But I'd prefer to have Jake. Doesn't mean Werenski's not a good player. He's a great player.
But, no, exactly. And the thing that I keep thinking about is, like, you go into the playoffs and you have a guy that can be your horse for 25, 30 minutes and be, you feel as confident as anyone that he can shut down the best players on the other team and provide you offense. And I don't see anyone in the league outside of course, Makar, that is even in that stratosphere in terms of being such a two-way force. And I think if you look at the Senators team, and we've talked about Steve Staios being aggressive, you have a good team playing well. They've been really good without their captain. They're only going to become a much better team.
I agree.
Their window to win is right now, and you can start seeing how this team can be a contender, right? Like you can see they're probably missing one more defenseman and one more forward, but I think Jake Sanderson and his ceiling just going up and up and up changes the whole dynamic of how we look at this team.
The one thing I'll say, and I know people are probably laughing, but I've broadcast and worked every Olympics since 2002. So what I would tell you is this. The development curve, the arc for players that go there like Jake, this is his first one, obviously, it really matters. You see, like you saw what happened after the Four Nations last year. Wait till you see him come out of the Olympics. There'll be another step, and you're going to be like, wow, I had no idea. So it's kind of like when kids play the World Junior, and for 9 years, did every World Junior. Canada was in the gold medal game. The arc that all those players have played for Canada over those 9 years and what they were able to do transitioning into the NHL from junior or college was unbelievable. The World Junior was such a great cultivator of talent. It's best on best in your own peer group, and it makes you better. It's the same thing with the Olympics. So I'm kind of excited for Jake going into that, just like I'm really excited for Brady going into that, Timmy going into that. All these guys are going to take another step up. And so while everybody's focusing on this short-term situation, I think long-term this Olympics helps a lot of different players. And Ottawa's got a few of them there. It's going to help them a lot.
And you could see last year how much the Four Nations molded and changed Tkachuk and Sanderson, right?
I agree.
They were different players that it really felt like it translated into the playoffs as well. And that experience, I think, has really helped this team out this year where they've kind of learned how to win. They know how to play in those tight games. Like how many one-goal games have they played this year and come out on the better side or at least got into overtime without wilting? Like a lot, right?
A lot. Part of that's the players that you're talking about, the experience. Part of that is the way I think Travis coaches. I don't know. You would know this better than I. I don't like to speculate when I'm watching from afar, and I'm over in Europe right now. I don't know what happened with Nick Cousins and Travis on the bench, but standards kick into a game. They do. They kick into a game. Something happened there.
What do you think of that? What do you just make of that
I
back
don't
and
have
forth?
I don't have a problem with it, actually. I kind of did some of that myself, so I'm not gonna. Sometimes you get caught up in the heat of the battle. As long as your players know you're not making it personal, that you're trying to send a resounding message. One of the greatest things that I learned working with Scotty Bowman in huge games, like the biggest games you could have in the NHL in those days, we were involved with. And what I learned was he would be on the bench, and let's just say Mark Recchi was having a great forecheck shift. He would never say anything to Mark Recchi. He'd wait till Recchi got on the ice, and he'd want the players to salute their teammates. So Scotty would say, look at Recchi, great forecheck, look at the speed, look at the angle, look at the stick. And all he would do is talk about Mark, and he would remind the players, this is what you need to do. This is how you're going to do it. And then Recchi would come to the bench, and the first time he did that, I'd be like, I'm expecting to go give him a pat on the back and a high five. He didn't even go near him. He didn't say a word to him. But it got everybody else's attention. I remember once he was really hard on Kevin Stevens, who is one of my favorites. Kevin Stevens is one of the hardest workers I ever had. And Scotty was challenging to be a better defensive player, less of a reckless player with the puck on his stick, especially in our own zone. And Kevin had a couple bad games where he wasn't very good at it, and Scotty ripped him pretty good. But I remember once Kevin had an amazing game. I think it was actually in Boston, in the old Garden. And Scotty kept saying, look at Kevin. Look at the development of Kevin. Look how well Kevin's playing. Boy, I'm so proud of Kevin. Then Kevin comes to the bench. He doesn't say a word to him. But I think Scotty was expecting his teammates to actually go and tell, hey, you should have heard the old man talking about you. It was unbelievable. And I think that's kind of how it works. And I don't know, again, what that whole thing was about, but I think part of it was probably creating standards for the team.
Is it a bit different when you go, like, obviously Cousins is like a fourth liner, but he is a veteran. Like, does that play a different dynamic into the calling out?
Good question. Sometimes a player will say, if he can do that to Nick Cousins, what's he going to do to me? So you kind of get the player's attention too. Now, that's an old trick that I know Scotty used to do, and guess who Travis learned from? Al Arbour. Who did Al Arbour play for? Scotty Bowman. And I know, and this would be a good article, I think, for you to kind of research. I'd like to know who influenced Travis the most. And if I were betting money, I'm going to say Al Arbour and maybe Butchie Goring. But I think it matters who mentored you. I'm not Scotty Bowman, but I can tell you right now, a lot of my ideology towards a game comes from him because we were roommates. We lived and breathed and talked and won hockey all the time. And he was amazingly generous with us. We still talk. He's 92 years old. We still talk. I just sent him a text this morning from Europe talking about games. So I think who mentors you matters a lot in terms of what you do and how you comport yourself on the bench.
For sure. Travis Green is known for being a hard ass, but I think most of the players appreciate the fact that they always talk about accountability. That's cliched, but I do find that they feel like, okay, if you're screwing up, he's just going to tell you what he sees, what he wants you to do, kind of no BS, just give it to you straight. And I think for the most part, players respect it if, as you said, it's not personal, right?
Yeah.
We can talk about coaches and maybe personal antics that they've done in the past. We won't get into it, but I don't think Travis has that approach. It's just like, okay, you effed up. This is what you need to do. This is how we need you to play, etc. And then the player can either put up or shut up, right? But it's kind of simple to the point, right? I'm not in the room. I'm not saying this firsthand or anything like that, but that's what I've gone from the players just being around them.
So I look for development of players. I think one of the most underappreciated things right now in the National Hockey League is internal development at the NHL level. So I'm watching Michael Amadio. I think you would agree. Continues to evolve and get better, right? A vastly underrated player. Unless you're in the marketplace, you don't even know who Michael Amadio is. No. But a really important player for the team. Shane Pinto, you look at his 11 goals. Forget the shootout winner last night. Look at his 11 goals. You're like, Shane Pinto? Offense? I thought he was a checker. Then you look at Claude Giroux. He's unbelievably reliable. He's not as quick as he used to be. He's clearly older than he used to be. He's a critically important player for this team, especially on that line. So you're watching it. How did this happen? How did it manifest itself? Well, I'm sure Ben Sexton's doing a lot of work with those guys. I'm sure Mike Yo's doing a lot of work with those guys. But I bet you Travis Green's doing a ton of work with those guys, and especially Shane. You know, Travis can coach Timmy, but he can't teach Timmy what Timmy does. Trust me, Travis was a good player, but he can't. But he can teach Shane Pinto. He can teach Dylan Cousins. He can teach Stephen Halliday. Like, he can teach those guys what they need to do to survive in the league and be really important. Timmy's at another level. Timmy's just at another level.
Yeah. No, that play when he in the first period when he set up Batherson, like, you just cackle. Like, it's just, he picks the puck up, he surveys, he's like, okay, I'm gonna just take on Zach Whitecloud because, like, I'm just bigger, faster, stronger than him. Goes around him, finds Batherson. Batherson's a skilled player. He's like, oh, this is an easy, I couldn't score that personally, but he can in the NHL. But just what a play, mirroring a little bit of the play he made against LA where he surveyed, took on Byfield. He didn't get an assist on the play, but he basically set the whole play up, right? He was just outstanding. The play you mentioned off the top on the power play, bats the puck down, like, incredibly, leads to the goal. Like, Tim Stutz's turning, like, he is a superstar. Like, the way he's playing, to me, he's a top 10 forward in the NHL, the way he's playing right now.
He is
unbelievable.
If you don't say that he's a top 10 forward in the league, you're not watching Ottawa, and you're not watching them close enough. And here's the biggest thing. One of the hardest teams in the league to generate tight offense against, so 8 to 10 feet from the top of the crease, it's Vegas. I call them the big green trees because they're so big on defense, and they take up so much space, and their slot area coverage is usually really good. In this case, it's an elite play made by Timmy, and I don't know how Drake found dead spot and coverage off the rush like that with time running out on the clock in the first period, but he does, and Timmy finds him. It's not just the play; it's who they did it against. Because Vegas they've ever since they came in the league and Gerard Gallant was their coach, it's been like an organizational mantra. And I did their first game. I did all their playoff games. I mean, I've been around their group a lot. That's hard to do, and Timmy found a way to do it. So I thought that was really impressive.
And I just love the way Drake Batherson and him are playing. Like, I've been on this train for a while. Like, last year, I was saying they need to play Drake Batherson with Tim Stützle because I just feel like when you have a player as talented as Timmy, you need a guy that is close to his talent to work with him, right? And if you think about the Senators team, I'd say outside of Tkachuk, he's a very different player. Drake Batherson's the second or third most talented forward, just in terms of pure skill on the roster. Yeah. And you can see it. Like, you can just see how they find each other with the little saucer passes, with the little nifty plays, how they work in transition. They've just been so dynamic together. And now, instead of David Perron and no slate on him, you have Brady Tkachuk. Like, that line could do a world of pain in terms of not just physically with Tkachuk on it, but just on the scoreboard as well. So I'm really excited to see how that line takes shape.
I am as well. I can't wait to see Brady back on the ice. I'm really excited about it.
Before I let you go, is there anything else that you want to kind of talk about heading into Brady Tkachuk's return on Friday? I
just like the fact that Coach acknowledged it. He said, hey, I got to be a little bit better with how I manage my bench. And we've talked about this, like I said, just after the game with Anaheim. And I think that's important that he acknowledges that. He's paying attention, and that tells me a lot. Because everybody, when you're not in the heat of the battle like the coaches are, you can see all these little things, and they stand out. He clearly has seen it now, and he recognizes in order for us to take the next step, I got to do a better job managing my bench. And I think he will. I think that's important. I really do.
And like, the one thing with Green is I think he's always very good at being hyper aware and really good attention to detail. Like, it might not be working, and he might have made the wrong decision, but it's not because he doesn't know what's happening, if that makes any sense. And I think he's made a lot of really smart decisions over the course of the season, and it's just like, I think he deserves a lot of credit for where the team is right now. Terrible start. They're missing their captain. And look at the role they've been on. And it's not all coaching, but I do think Travis Green deserves a lot of credit for where this team is, considering the loss of their captain for essentially the entirety of the start of the season.
I'm going to take it one step further. And I know everybody, look at Joel Quenneville's a friend of mine, and I think he should be at the top of the list in terms of Coach of the Year candidates right now. But Travis Green should be in the top 3. He should be in the top 3 for Coach of the Year candidates. He really should. I watch every team in the league play. And Ottawa, to the point you made, which is a really good, important point, they've lost Shabbat for time this year, and they've lost Tkachuk for most of this year. And look where that team is right now. I think coaching has played a major role in this, and I think Travis deserves a lot of credit.
I won't lie. I wrote a story last year for Sportsnet saying that Travis Green should get Jack Adams votes, not win. And let's just say the last couple days, I'm like, how do I write this story potentially in a couple months in a different way? So you're reading my mind, Pierre. So I completely agree. I think he's been he deserves some love in the Jack Adams award. And I really feel like if this team, with Tkachuk back, starts to string more wins together, start going up and up in the standings, which is I feel like it's the likeliest scenario. Knock on wood, any significant injuries. I just feel like this team's going the right way, and with that, Travis Green's going to get a lot of love too for the way his team's playing. But Pierre, thanks so much for taking the time and doing this. We'll talk after the big return for Brady Tkachuk, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks so much. Happy Thanksgiving to all our American viewers. Really appreciate it, Alex. Take care. Enjoy your day.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast Sens Spotlight on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.